that gets me so freaking fired up, dude. No pun intended.
I just ran around the room.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Raiders of Reselling podcast live from the Hat House. I'm Hat House, joined by Coach Porch and Fired Up Fines. Tonight, we're going to deep dive into doing the opposite. So I kind of challenge these guys to think about things that you do that maybe the experts don't exactly say you should do, and you do it a little different. We want to hear from you guys too. What do you do the opposite on? That's going to be our main theme. And as always, we love to hear from you guys. So if you're in the if you're out in the Instagram world or the Facebook world, get over to YouTube. It's going to be worth your time to comment. I'm going to get to that here in a second, and chat with us live. I try to always put up several videos that are going to go live, so you can bookmark those and so you can catch us when we're live, because we got a lot of interesting things coming up. I do want to thank everybody in podcast land. After we drop this podcast, we'll be to 1,000 downloads, and I really appreciate you. That is a huge milestone. All the episodes we put out will have 1,000 downloads. So really appreciate you guys. Anywhere you can get your podcast out there. Most of you get it from Apple, but Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, wherever you can get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. We'd really appreciate that as well. And so with that, I got some awesome announcements. First, we're going to have a weekly giveaway. And whoever has the ad read is going to have the item to give away. Coach, what are we giving away this week?
Well, I think we all just landed right here on this beautiful Spider USA hat. This is a beautiful trucker, right? Look at this thing. Got the Spider logo on this side. Boom. She is a peach hun. She's brand new. Never been on anybody's lid. Going to be yours.
How do you get entered, you say? Well, if you leave a comment at any point while we're live, you're going to be entered into the giveaway. So if you're out there in the, make sure you get over to YouTube, leave us a comment, chat with us, and you're going to be entered in. We're going to do the random wheel at the end. So it's going to be really fun. The other exciting thing is I got the memberships live again for the stream. So I got some really interesting emojis in there, mostly inspired by none other than Fired Up Fines. He gave us some great ideas for emojis, so can't wait to see some of those in the chat. And what we're also going to do is, if you are a member, you're automatically entered each week. Even if you don't show up, you're going to be entered into the giveaway. So it's $1.99 for the membership for the month for YouTube. Up to you. You can enter or not. We really appreciate it if you do. But we're also what I'm going to do is, to all the members, I'm going to put end credits at the end of the podcast, and I'm going to put your name and your social and give everybody a shout out at the end too. So, and then we have a lot of good other ideas we want to get implemented in the future for the members, but really appreciate that. So you get a free giveaway, get a shout out at the end, get some cool emojis in the chat. So the other thing is, we're going to try and answer questions and do the Q&A at the end of the podcast. So really make sure you stick around to the end. We'll get to the questions there. And if you have a super chat, you'll definitely get to that question and get it answered for you. And with that, I think we have a new sponsor this week.
We do. Tell you what, this episode of Raiders of Reselling is brought to you by Box Tape by Tape Ape, trademark. The only thing holding your resale empire together besides caffeine and sheer stubbornness, whether you're shipping out rare collectibles, slightly stained band tees, or a juicer from 2004, Box Tape by Tape Ape sticks with you through it all. Literally. Crafted from industrial-grade adhesive and pure primate power, Box Tape by Tape Ape sticks harder than your ex's Netflix password. It's the official tape of chaotic garages, all-nighters before whatnot auctions, and packages that somehow weigh 12 pounds more than you expected. Box Tape by Tape Ape. Unleash the beast. Seal your success. Now back to the show where we dig through garages like archaeologists with a PayPal account.
Tape, baby. Love it. I can tell you, when I look for tape from now on, I'm going to looking for the biggest roll of tape because I am so tired of switching it out. I bought tape that was only like a half a roll than what I used to have, and I never knew it was so annoying to have to switch it out all the time.
Go to Tape Ape and get their box tape, man. I mean, it's a 27-inch roll.
A 20. I'll never run
That's a
out.
beautiful thing.
Yes,
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Thank you,
That's what I'm
Tape Ape.
You're the man. Our first
Unless
topic.
you're a woman.
The first thing we wanted to talk about was
we're non-binary.
Okay. Oh,
was the
first
tax update. Coach sent me this earlier this week, and so apparently they're thinking about keeping it at the $20,000 level instead of the $600 level. Is that right?
Well, what I read and what I heard reported on was that the big beautiful bill has eliminated the $600 threshold, so it's reverted back to. Is it 20,000 or was it
20,000?
I think it was
20,000 or 200 transactions.
Now, I want you to keep in mind that's a federal level. So your states, I think there's 3 of them, and I'm lucky enough to live in one, can still demand a report at $600. I think it's Maryland, Virginia, and 2 other states that do that. But federally, you're not going to see a 1099 if you're below 20K.
That's now we don't give tax advice here, so but
Absolutely not. I'm literally just reporting to you what I read and reported. Yeah. So
consult
make sure you do
But,
research.
so everything after this is hypothetical. So if I only make $19,000 on Poshmark and $19,000 on whatnot, and then $19,000 on Macari, it's not going to be reported to the government. But
yeah. Now keep in mind, it's not them that report it; it's the payout companies like PayPal that report it. They're the ones that send out your 1099.
Okay. And
sometimes you get 2, because you'll get, like last year, I got a Whatnot one and a PayPal one, even though I
Whatnot
only
doesn't
ever
do one.
use. I only
Whatnot does not do one.
Oh, then was it just PayPal?
It was just PayPal.
Are you sure Whatnot doesn't do a 1099?
Whatnot does not do a 1099. They do not record any of that. They only send it out to your PayPal.
Oh, so it'd be your
accumulated
PayPal transaction.
Yeah, your PayPal sends you to 1099. If you go back and look, your PayPal says your 1099 says PayPal.
Yeah, I remember my PayPal one, but I thought that I thought I had a Whatnot one as well. Yeah,
it's right in there. It's right in their FAQs too.
Okay.
If you want to double check. If anybody wants to double check that, it's in Whatnot's.
Technically, you should still report that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Technically, it's still income, and you should
any single dollar you make. Yes.
Right.
The government wants you to report every dollar you make.
It's just those companies are not obligated to send it unless you make it over the 20,000 and 200 transactions.
Yes.
Yes, 20,000 or 200 transactions.
Which means, guess who's not claiming a lot of stuff this year? Me.
All right, let's chat. Now,
come on, baby.
I want you to be on the podcast next year.
Anybody, I live pretty close to NSA.
I had to look out my window to make sure that there was no red dots. My brothers from 3 different white mothers is crazy. Baby B's in the chat. I think Darren might be the first ever YouTube member. Am I wrong about that?
That's right. The DA is the first member. Thank you so much, DA.
Did you pop that up there? Let's look.
We really appreciate you, Darren. Check that out.
Darren,
that's a beautiful thing.
Numero uno. Welcome.
You,
round of applause. I
wish I had Earl here.
What an absolute gem of a human right there.
Thank you, DA. And then also in the chat, we got Chris is here. Appreciate you, Chris. I got a couple of your questions we'll get to at the end. And then Tony is here. How about them Cowboys, he says. And Brandon Little is here, always here to give old Fired Up Finds a tough time.
Yeah, we don't have to highlight that Tony one.
Yep. him and I did just get assigned to the same station as of tomorrow.
Oh, how about
So,
that? Sorry about
same station, same
your loss,
shift.
Brandon.
Same station,
Sorry
same
to hear it,
shift.
Brandon.
So I'll keep him in check in real life. Don't worry. I know, but listen, I know tax shit is super boring, but it is something that if you're a
It's
casual
part of
guy,
our lives.
yeah, if
It
you're
is
a casual
absolutely part
guy, or gal, then it's probably something that you want to look up as far as the new tax, I guess, tax code, because that will change a lot of your end of the year, you know, your end of the year things. So it is a good idea to stay up or talk to your, either you do your own research or go talk to your tax guy or
talk
whatever.
to a CPA.
Yeah, but either way, usually like big ones like that, just like when it went from the 20,000 and then it went to like, whatever it was, $1,500 the next year, and then it finally got down to that $600 that we've had for the last handful of years. Just like it went that way, it's important to know that.
Yeah, like
because,
a couple years ago, it was like, it was like they were supposed to phase it in, and some of the states
yeah, it went from like 20
there it
grand,
is.
and then it was like 2,000 something, and then it kind of went on down. But yeah, it's important. So check that out because that means a lot about your wallet. So.
Definitely. And then just making sure that you're
Darren's-
tracking every single expense, I think, is one of the biggest things about doing this. Every time you spend money on your business, that you're accounting for it somehow. I think that's really what saves you in the end. I mean, I don't want to say that I didn't make anything, but some people like to say they don't make anything. If you're not making anything, then it's not really worth it. But you do want to make sure you get every penny accounted for. So and it's a big deal for some people. I mean, I know if you just do it part-time, you still got to make sure you track those expenses so you're not paying more than you have to. Darren's got some emojis.
Look at him bang.
Out the emojis.
Where's there should be a hot dog in there somewhere and a fire truck.
Dude, we got glizzies and fire trucks.
We got glizzies and fire trucks and nut sacks.
There's a nut sack.
I don't know. Those haven't showed up yet. Our new emojis.
Dude, I did listen. I did suggest that we have a nut sack as one of the whatever it's called emojis. So, with that being said, you are all so welcome. You are all so welcome. That's the Ravens, dude.
Yeah. Coach is a huge Ravens fan. All right, let's get to the opposite.
What makes you think that?
Who's that guy?
I've never even heard of that girl before.
He's never been to a Super Bowl, so.
Ooh, Steven with the one-timer on the head.
No, they have the best team. You just can't quite take them all the way. They are really good. I just think you're going to have to get a winner. Anyways, all right.
What is it when your left arm hurts?
You having a heart attack, Coach?
It's a good thing I have an adult beverage.
All right. I had some thoughts on doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing. And I was kind of thinking of it as I was sorting stuff last week. I kind of want to hear what you guys thought first. Is there like some advice that you hear all the time, or just anything that you feel like you're going against the grain? So I talk about Walmart because I worked there, and Sam Walton always talked about swimming upstream and basically doing the opposite of what the competition was doing and trying to do something different than they were, not following the herd on everything they're doing. So what do you think it is in your business that you do the opposite on?
Who wants to go first? Right, is Rob frozen right now?
He might be frozen.
All right, I'll go first then. Probably the biggest thing for me is when I first started there, you watch a lot of YouTube videos, you would read a lot of things on the internet that would say, find your niche. That was like one of the biggest kind of phrases, was find your niche and become an expert in your niche, and, only sell within your niche, and so on and so forth. And I've never been a niche guy ever. So, there's things that obviously I know more about than other things, but I am if it makes a nickel, I'll buy it and sell it. You know what I mean? Well,
Am I back?
There we go.
Sweet. Did you hear me that whole time?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, just having, being able to just be an everything guy, because I think I realized pretty quickly that, if you're only in one thing, especially when you're outsourcing, if you're only in one thing, then there's going to be tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars every year that you're just going to walk right past because you're only ever looking at this one category of thing. And, niche sellers do great too. It has nothing wrong with niche selling because you can be amazing at a certain thing and just really kill it in that. But, I've always went against that as far as
the supply too. I mean, it's just really hard to narrow down to something like hats. It's really hard. I mean, I've built up some supply and where to get some hats, but it can be really hard just to narrow down to one thing and find enough supply, whether you're trying to do it full time or part time. To get enough inventory, especially hats is pretty competitive and, like I say, saturated, and it can be really hard to sell hats sometimes, unless you're getting the really good ones. But yeah, I totally agree, and I've kind of gone backwards from that. I really got hyper focused on hats for a couple of years, and I'm kind of moved back out of that the past 6 months, and really more just because I'm going to go out and do my own sourcing. And of course I can't walk out every day and just expect only to find hats. If I go to Goodwill or if the bins, it's almost impossible just to find hats if that's what you're looking for.
Well, I mean, think about what you're saying, where what would that day have been like if you just overlooked that Scotty Cameron?
Yeah, it would have been dumb. It'd have been ridiculous just to leave it there.
Yeah, and I'm one of mine was going to be the same thing that Mike's talking about here is, you just can't pigeonhole yourself and into one thing. And I know a lot of people get a good kick out of a giggle out of it when I say, I mentioned that I sell luxury stuff as well, because it's hard to believe that the golf guy is doing it. I guess it's kind of why that logo changed up a little bit. So I could go back and forth. Like I could use the closet anytime I want, but it's exactly what Mike's saying. And what you're saying as well is you just can't. It's not feasible to be stuck in one thing. If you're just pigeonholing yourself to this, you're missing all of this. And I use that Scotty Cameron as an example. If you'd have just walked in there and not looked for anything other than hats, you'd have left $100 bill on the table.
Yeah,
just like Mike, when you were going through the shirts today, and I know you were there doing specifically golf and everything, but I still saw you go by a really high dollar Joseph A. Bank, and I tried to catch your attention just to say, "Hey, dude, that was a Joseph A. Bank you just passed," because they sell really well on the Bay. I wasn't just worried about your stream for whatnot. I was thinking, also you got your eBay situation, and don't pass that up. That's why I told you about Beach Ready. I said, that's hit or miss in a whatnot show, but I got a buddy of mine that just slays with those on eBay. So that's why I dropped that little dime in there. It's like, hey, Beach Ready does good on eBay, so don't pass that up.
Yeah,
I know you were buying for both.
Yeah.
I think
there's so many Joseph A. Banks though, dude. Do they all do good?
Do they?
Because
I don't know that they.
I'm not lying. I could source like 40 of them every day.
No, I wouldn't suggest it either. I mean, do your research. Like we tell everybody, do your research.
Yeah, I think it definitely the pattern and everything would make a big deal on it.
But. Yeah, it's good. You don't want your Joseph A. Bank outlet, shirt. You want the clothier stuff. So
Yeah.
That it's a lot more premium quality.
All right, guys, make sure you're in the chat. We're doing our giveaway this week. We're going to get you on the wheel. So if you haven't gotten in the chat, if you haven't made it to YouTube, make sure you do that. I think mine was like, I've got a couple of instances. I think the first one that I really recall was on Whatnot. It seemed like when I first started watching Whatnot, everybody was just trying to sell their trash, their junk, and just trying to get rid of the stuff that wouldn't sell on eBay or just in all their old inventory. And they made Whatnot just kind of an outlet store for their store. And by the time it got to Whatnot, it was just bad stuff. And I think I really just kind of went the opposite direction. And I tried to find the better stuff that would get a better price. And I think that's really helped in the Whatnot shows for me to have more fun, for one, because I can't be the guy that's sitting there trying to sell dollar hats. It's no fun to sit there for 3 hours.
So boring.
And try to get rid of just a taco hat or something that somebody may or may not want. That was the first one that I thought of. And
he said taco hat.
You probably got one next to you.
Oh yeah, he probably has 7 of them.
Well, I will say this. There is I don't know if you can see it. Hold on. There is a taco hat.
That's a premium taco hat.
In my show tomorrow.
That is a good one, but I'm also not surprised that you have a taco hat.
But not everybody can. You can't just come right out and do that almost either. Whatnot is a little different. I mean, if you're willing to take your lumps for a few shows and kind of build up to having better shows, then you can. But I just knew that I didn't. It's almost like the show, you have to take a few lumps in the show to get it rolling too, and to get people interested and thinking,
exactly
hey,
right.
he's gonna keep running it.
Oh yeah, you killed it from the get-go. I will admit that. But it's like Mike in the same thing. That gigantic box you sent me that one time. And we all have done it. We've all gone through it, and everybody else down the road is going to go through it as well. Mm-hmm. You've got to take your lumps to get your name out there. And you're going to lose in the beginning.
But also, I think a lot of people just try to jump on Whatnot one time, and that's not going to be that profitable for you to do either. No. You're not going to be able to jump on Whatnot one time with killer stuff and think you're going to get good prices for it. It'd be better. I mean, if you had 300 hats, it's better to break that up into 10 shows or something like that and try to build an audience and sell them that way. But I get some people are just trying to get rid of all their stuff. But
I also think you have a bunch of people that don't realize how much work goes into it.
Yeah.
They get to the shipping just jumping part on Whatnot and doing the show. There's a hell of a lot more to it than that. So
yeah. I'm really trying to make my next Whatnot show like really, really good. And it's going to be on the 30-minute hat train. I've got to get on there and test my thought first. I'm going to try to put every hat that I have about 150 hats listed on Whatnot and cross-listed everywhere. And I'm going to put them on half price flash sale while I'm doing it. I'm hoping that I got to get on there and test it and see if somebody will buy one on flash sale to make sure it delisted all properly before that show. So I got to test it out, and then running really good hats on top of that, and then having my hat shapers, having plenty of those in stock. I really want to make the next Whatnot show really good. I hopefully it will be. Got some good hats ready. The other thing, what made me think about this, doing the opposite thing, was at the bins last week. They brought out all these pants, right? And nobody wanted to look at the pants because it's July. And so, but that's the time, that may be the time that you have to source the pants. And then whether in December, when they bring out the shorts, get the shorts when they bring it out in December. And I think a lot of people are only buying what will sell maybe right now and not thinking far enough ahead to go ahead and source those things. And so we picked up a lot of pants last week. And I found a pair of Lululemon pants even. people weren't looking at them. They're kind of hard to spot sometimes, but I was just surprised. There's like 2 or 3 women before me that looked through this bin and they missed the Lululemon pants. But I also think it's just kind of doing the opposite of what other people are doing. They're not buying pants right now. So that's what I'm going to look at the hardest, because it's getting kind of glanced over. And I think that kind of happens. And my bins is also a lot less pressure on the clothes. But everybody at my bins wants toys. It's crazy. It's like 70% of the people there are just there for toys. And I'm not a huge toy guy at all. I hardly ever pick them up.
I would love to learn about them, though. I would love to learn about them.
Yeah, I'm sure there are some really great toys that I'm missing. But
there has to be, dude. There has to be.
People want them that bad?
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. So have you guys had this update yet? Have you guys had this update yet on your eBay app on your phones, where it shows you it shows you this page right here?
No, I can't really read it. What's it say?
Like,
the in-demand stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then, like, dude, if you literally look at the number 2 thing searched for on all of eBay, it's action figures.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, it's 16 million searches. I don't know. It was just on my thing, but
sports cars was number 1, and then
sports cars number 2. Yeah, exactly. And then just like normal, Pokemon cards and stuff like that is number 3. But I mean, the toy game has to be insane, dude, because some of the highest priced stuff that I've seen sell, especially on Whatnot, like when you go into those like bigger like storage unit, freaking shows or whatever, and it's like a little more curated than just like them opening up a storage unit, and kind of doing that. They just got it from the storage unit. But dude, I mean, talk about Transformers going for $1,000 and stuff like that, dude. That there's like some incredible money in toys. A lot of the older ones, I'm sure, mostly, but it's just something I don't remember ever really playing with toys all that much when I was a kid. So I was like, nothing's really all that nostalgic to me. You know what I mean? Till like where I would pick it up and be curious about it.
Yeah, you're a generation behind Thundercats, G.I. Joes, and He-Man, and that kind of stuff.
He-Man.
Yeah. So it's
I have my son's Tonka trucks around here somewhere.
Yeah,
and I kind of try to see what they're picking up, but it just all looks like junk to me. Honestly, and maybe it is. I don't know.
I tell you where I saw the most information that I've ever seen about toys was on that antique archaeology show.
Antique archaeology?
Yeah, you've never heard of it? What the hell is the name of the show? Actually,
it's not called Antique Roadshow, is it?
No, it's not called Antique Roadshow. It's the one with Frank and.
Is it on YouTube or something?
No, it's actually on TV. Antique.
Real TV.
Yeah, is that on PBS or?
Yeah, he's got their funding cut. Did they?
American Pickers.
American Pickers.
American Pickers. Antique archaeology.
The name of this. Thank you, Mike. Dude, the name of their show is Antique Archaeology. The name of their store is Antique Archaeology.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, dude, he had to point his freaking rabbit ears and antennas to the north, dude, to figure out what the hell this thing is called, dude.
Or I just
I didn't know that's what they were called. That's what their store was called. I had no idea.
Their stores are called Antique Archaeology. They're American Pickers, but every so often they hit a honey hole of just toys in like these 3,000 square foot homes. And it's like to watch them go through all these little toys and everything's like, holy crap. And you just try and take a mental picture of what they're looking at because they're like worth thousands of dollars.
I will tell you, a guy from the YouTube side of things, Robin Hood of Goodwill. I'm pretty sure I've talked about him before. If not, like a fantastic YouTuber. He's like has very few subscribers, far less than he should ever have. But I think he's sub 10,000 subs. And but like the level of knowledge that this guy has about a wide variety of stuff is incredible. And one of the things that some of like the small tidbits that I've learned are in the toys. He does, vintage clothes. I mean, he does everything, like everything that you can think of. And he's just the chillest guy. He's the coolest dude ever. I have a bit of a man crush on him, but he does a whole lot of, or maybe a large one,
Yeah.
or maybe a large one.
You only talk about him every week. I mean, we were.
So, yeah. Look. Amanda literally said that's my.
Amanda's in the chat.
That's my boy crush, and that means that she's entered into the giveaway. Let's go.
Yeah, spider hat.
Yeah, and so
hey Mike, if Amanda wins, you're getting this one.
But yeah, he is a good one if you guys want to learn stuff too. He's fun to watch and he's a good teacher. So, yeah, that, and I would say too, Stephen, is for what you were saying about Whatnot is, and I said this, I think I said this a couple weeks ago, but if you do anything once, dude, you're gonna suck. You know what I mean? So it's like if you're jumping on Whatnot one time and it's shitty, because it's definitely going to be shitty. I don't care if you have the greatest stuff of all time. It's still going to at least be a little bit shitty. And, it's going to suck. So you have to do it over and over and over and over and over and over again. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just, but I mean, that's a great way to go against the grain. The guys that are still putting the below average stuff on Whatnot, you can tell how they're doing. You know what I mean? Whatnot has evolved into a much more like, people are basically going there for premium stuff. You know what I mean? At a reasonable price. So, and like you're gonna mix in like those kind of MIDI type of things or whatever. Not everything can be like the most amazing thing of all time, but you do the same thing that I do as far as hats. Like I don't, I'll list a trucker hat or something like that on eBay every so often, but like all the really good hats, dude, they're going to Whatnot, not because I'm getting a premium for them, but just because that's what the people want, So,
and it's the other thing I'll say on hats,
it's still in its infancy.
Yeah, it's still really young. I think there's a lot of, I like what they're doing. If they could get more shoppers over to buying just buying the buy it now stuff, if they could get that crew over there and you could have a little bit more sales, I'll tell you, with 150 hats listed in almost 2 months now, I've sold one hat on buy it now. That's been really interesting to see. I don't put them there necessarily thinking that I'm going to get a bunch of sales. I've kind of loaded them up there more for this flash sale that I want to do and see how that does. And if that does well, then I'll keep doing it. But if they can get some buy it now traffic,
it doesn't hurt, right?
Right. Yeah. It's just, if they can get that buy it now traffic, I think they can really grow exponentially. And I wouldn't mind doing it more if I could hop on and have a store loaded up and give everybody a killer deal for an hour, and they can just go through that shop, and I run a few hats here and there, and then they shop through that and get half price on everything else. Sounds fun to me.
Do you guys ever watch Gary Vee or anything like that on YouTube, or do you even know who that is?
I know Gary Vee says, just turn the camera on and keep posting content.
Yeah, because his whole thing is like quality is subjective, but what's not subjective is quantity. Like, you know what I mean? Right. Like somebody can think that this thing is the shittiest thing of all time or the greatest of all time. It's their interpretation of it. But like us being here is there's no interpretation of us just being here. It's either you're there or you're not, That's kind of like his whole overall theme. But he was talking the other day. I don't listen to him too much, but it was a clip, and he was talking the other day how and like I kind of agree with him how he thinks that the whole social shopping, the social internet shopping is like really going to be like the thing that, a lot of people are they'll still buy on the Amazons, like all the really established spots, but people, especially since COVID happened, and a lot of people just don't go out even as much anymore still, you know what I mean? Like the people have just gotten so accustomed to being at home that like they do so much of their shopping at home, and even their grocery deliveries, I'm sure, has increased dramatically. And but I think people still like an interaction. You know what I mean? They still want the product, but I think they still want the interaction without actually having to go out and have that interaction. So I think social selling is like, you know what I mean? I think it'll only get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like social selling hasn't even been around for that long, like in the way that we do it.
Oh no, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like it's still such a niche thing that I think that, you know, as time goes on, it'll become like incredibly mainstream. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, absolutely, because it's
kind of like
it is.
Yeah, like what QVC was, you know what I mean? But like you weren't being able to talk to the person on the QVC screen. You know what I mean? You weren't being able to say, "Hey, I like this, I don't like that."
Well, no, if they picked your call, you could talk to them.
Yeah, 100%. So, you know what I mean? I'm like, I think it's cool being on, you know,
it's huge in all of Asia.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how, like, I don't know how Instagram and even X or those places haven't really. It's the Instagram and Facebook setting up a store and a shop there is so clunky and so hard that it's really they're all setting it up for this Temu crap and to try to sell or to be this influencer crap, and it's not really. Whatnot is really more geared towards us, and they've done a really good job of us selling one-off things. But I don't know why Facebook and Instagram and X haven't tapped into the social selling side really, and they just want to sell cheap China junk on there. It seems.
I would say it's moved beyond one-off things, because we got, especially, I can give you examples from the golf category and a couple others actually, but you have a lot of people that are running their stores now out of Whatnot. You got like Pens and Aces, huge website. They just bought Adele equipment. They're running that shit on Whatnot, their whole inventory. You have companies like E-Tail, or is it E-Tail? E-Tail, and then there's another Dallas golf company. They were strictly websites, and they're now on Whatnot. Shank It Golf. You saw what's the other one that just came on there? Swing Juice. They just came on there. You have a lot of retail E-Tail people that are now doing full sales on Whatnot.
Yeah, and I think it's almost a better for retail and e-tail. I think it's better clearance. You know, I mean, sometimes you get down to, I think they use it kind of as their outlet and clearance and it works better for them for new items. But I mean, it's almost better for them to just auction it off and be done with it than try to mark it down on their website over and over again to try to get it to move for.
Yeah. Well, I think it's twofold.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you're saying. They're selling their overstock to get it moving out. And if you take an example like Pens and Aces, they give their Whatnot viewers a code to their webpage. So if you're, an avid watcher of Pens and Aces, you get a code, which by the way is Whatnot, 20% off you get 20% off of your purchases on their website. So it's both ways. So they're using it for their overstock and they're driving you to their website.
There, right. And like what? It's like pensandaces.com or something like that?
Yeah, pensandaces.com.
And I don't know why.
That's the whole thing that we ran into a couple weeks ago. Remember, Steven, kind of towards the beginning of our pod when you were doing the Whatnot show, trying to drive over to Hathouse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like we were kind of confused because it explicitly says that you're not supposed to solicit sales outside of this app. So I don't know. Maybe they're such large sellers that it's kind of, one of those like don't ask, don't tell type of deals. But it's still like, and what they're doing is totally fine in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like me personally, I'm down with that. It's cool. That's super cool. I just don't know how it would work for like some people that aren't the biggest. You know what I mean? Even though because like at some point you are taking a little bit, I'd imagine, from Whatnot and moving it to, the
moving it off
platform
their
thing,
platform,
which from our point of view, it's totally fine. But from the boss's point of view, you know what I mean? Like that's why what I wrote Steven, I was like, hey, I don't know if this is the best idea. Because like you know what I mean?
Yeah, they
Because
probably
like, dude,
hammer.
what happens, you know what I mean? Like what happens if you get caught up, you know? So I mean it's a good idea. Just I guess if they don't care, then awesome. You know?
For sure. I want to remind everybody, if you haven't chatted in the chat, make sure you get in the chat. We're doing a giveaway at the end here. We're going to do the random wheel with names on it. We're going to give away this spider hat. So make sure you guys get over in the chat if you haven't done that yet.
Every week is a new giveaway. Every week,
and
whoever has the ad read, if you guys,
if Amanda wins, she gets this.
Yes. If you guys weren't here in the very beginning, the person that has the ad read, so like next week it should be Steven, I think, and then the week after is me or whatever. That's the person that's gonna do
I got some pretty killer earbuds, and then I also got some hat house shapers. We'll see what the people might want, but I can come up with
I might just give away
giveaways.
I might just give away like a freaking I might just give away like a dinner date with me or something. You know what I mean? Like what's more priceless? You know what I mean?
That is priceless. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. A dinner date with me, you pay. You know what I mean? Like, okay. All right. Been practicing that one all week. Okay.
But to go back to the other thing, I don't know how all these other social sites haven't kind of latched onto it and tried to leverage their site into you. So, because so many people have their own personal brand now, they're all trying to sell something through their brand, whether it's stuff. Well, thank you, Mike.
Hilarious.
Appreciate you.
Mike.
Oh yeah, MJGG. That guy's a freaking absolute.
I think they are. I mean, I think they are. They may be rolling it out slow, or they may be.
You're getting close, DA. You get close. I don't know why the Wiener Nuts fire truck golf cart didn't pop up there. Is it working on the podcast, people? You got to be here during the live.
That is so much better than it actually having the emojis. It is it is unbelievably funny.
I gotta go over to YouTube to see if it's working.
That's YouTube right there.
Oh, that's so good, dude. Oh, that's literally so good. Hey, I will say, I don't know. Have you guys done any shopping on TikTok Shop or no?
My wife does.
Yeah,
Mary
I've done
does.
0. So
yeah,
I don't know. I know it's a huge thing though, is it not? Like TikTok Shop is like a pretty large thing, is it not?
It's mostly all Amazon drop shipped.
Have either of you thought about doing the eBay lives?
Isn't that for a certain person, or it's not for everybody, right?
You have to have 10,000. You have to have 10,000 followers on social media to get to the through the application phase. I didn't have enough followers, so hit the follow button on my Instagram. Let's get on eBay Live. I need only need 7,500 more.
I'm gonna make 7,500 fake accounts and join you.
I don't know if you could use eBay or Instagram or both. I think you have to have 10,000 on one of them. So one day we'll get there. And I don't know if I really have enough inventory. I can see the card people that have a lot of inventory. I would love to try it. I mean, I couldn't imagine you automatically get like 1,000 or people in your room. I've never seen one that, I guess 400 or 500. A lot of them have in there, but that eBay Live is legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like they're taking the largest platform in the world.
Yeah. I was speaking to what Mike's saying. It's like, why aren't the other people doing it? I mean, it is literally, and I'm going to show that I'm the old guy in the room. It is literally how our kids grew up. And I've said this to my wife and everything about how my son ended up in Japan. It's like, you know, when the internet came around, believe it or not, kids, there was a day there was no internet. It started taking this great big world and it made it like this big. You know, I mean, my son has friends in so many countries, and he's not the only one. Everybody does that. So it's in the internet has evolved us into a global society. And along comes 2020, but so has the hustle and bustle and the use of our electronics closed our world and taken us into the web solely because it's so much easier and efficient to get so much more shit done, see so much more stuff if you're using your electronics rather than going out to the store.
Yeah.
I literally could shop on like 4 different devices at the same time if I wanted to and talk to however many damn people I want.
A great example is even from like the little stream that I did today. Virtually everybody that was there was at work. You know what I mean? Or like,
and we were all shopping.
Yeah. So it's just like, you allow people to buy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Doesn't matter, rain or shine, at work, not at, you know what I mean? Anything.
Yep.
So, like, I don't know. That's why I was like, I need to figure out how to do more whatnot stuff, because it's probably a problem that most people have is, just an overall inventory problem. You know what I mean? Like a whatnot resellable price inventory problem. So
yeah,
just navigating.
But I think what Darren's saying there, is exactly what we're saying. It's eBay Live is limited now, but it's going to be, once they come out of the beta stage and they let all of us do it.
Yeah. I wonder what that does to a platform like Whatnot. If you give, 280 million site viewers per month on a platform and then say, hey, it's almost identical to what we do over here on Whatnot, that I don't know the numbers for Whatnot, how many people they have every month, but I tell you, it's not 280 million. And, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder what that does to a place like Whatnot, because you might say it's your first show ever and you jump on Whatnot and you have 4 people in there and maybe you sell one thing if you're lucky. And then you're like, well, hey, I'm going to go try eBay Live. And then you jump on eBay Live and there's, next thing you know, you're pulling 80 viewers or 100 viewers, because there's just that many more people that are on that site just looking around anyway. You know what I mean? I wonder what it does to like the establishment that Whatnot has. I'm
not as worried about the platforms as I am the actual sellers.
3 million.
Yeah, there are. And how you're going to have to get in front of this camera at some point in the future. There are probably some categories that you can probably stay in the shadows or just do your business. But I don't think fashion is going to continue to be that way. Whether it's hats or whatever, I think you're just really going to fall behind if you're not able to at least incorporate live selling a little bit into your business. It's going to be hard because people especially like you said, if eBay opens up to the live show and I'm able to hop on there and sell 100 hats in a couple of hours, I just think there's going to be certain categories like auto parts. You're not going to be live selling auto parts, but I think there's some categories that you're just going to have to. And have you seen that meme too, where like, I didn't know that I was going to have to be a content creator now in my business too. And I just think everybody's going to have, if you're afraid of the camera, you're going to have to figure it out, or maybe change categories eventually. I just don't think everybody's going to be able to keep up in especially fashion.
Well, there's ways around it. I've actually seen like clothing sellers that have never been on screen. They put that, they have like their racks around them, and they have that stand pole like right here for you, and they'll just come in from off screen and set it up there while they're talking to you.
Right.
And this is, all you'll see is like from here up, but they're just chatting away with you but all you're looking at is the item.
Yeah, I think the nervousness of just having to do that with people too.
Yeah.
I think it's tough for some people, but I know there's also the nervousness of actually everybody looking at you and just staring into the camera sometimes. But it's definitely getting interesting.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking, but just at the
You
end of the
stepped
day,
outside of the box today.
I stepped out of the side of the box today, dude, and like that was nerve-wracking for me. And I'm like the most outgoing guy that anybody's ever met. So,
Right.
you know, there's like almost nobody in the world that I won't talk to. There's very, very, very few things that are like in the social world that make me nervous. You know, there's like other life stuff that makes me nervous, but not, I don't have any social anxiety, but like, you know, doing the whole, like YouTube thing out in public or whatever, you know, or shit, not even in public, just even at my house, just, you know, for whatever reason, just makes me nervous. There's not even a soul looking at me, but especially out in public, just makes me super nervous. It's just very awkward. You know, it's just kind of like, what are you doing kind of thing or whatever. But then I just realize that at the end of the day, dude, nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? Like
that's
even
the
if you
key.
get,
Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares literally at all. Even if you get like what is this guy doing or whatever, also who cares? You know what I mean? Like they're like, you know, nobody really cares that much. And it's just you. And this is me. But it's just like you, and I'm talking about me, that cares so much. You know what I mean? Like that we're the only ones that actually care because it's us. I'm like, wow, damn, we don't want to look dumb or whatever. I look dumb all day, dude. I freaking was walking around 100 stores wearing this thing around my neck like this. You know what I mean?
You had a collar.
I had a collar on, dude.
And snatch him up.
Yeah. So it's just like one thing that I tell myself all the time, even being a guy that's, you know, super social, I don't have social anxiety, things of that nature. You know, even if you're an outgoing extrovert like me, that shit still makes you nervous. I don't, you know, it still does. So
I'm probably the opposite of you. I'm definitely introverted. I'm not typically very sociable besides on social media. Actually talking to other people at the bins is I limit it. I'm not really outgoing and trying to find a conversation anytime I am out in the public. You're definitely different from me. When I turn on the camera here, I'm trying to find conversation and want to talk to everybody in the world. So I think you just have to find your space that you're comfortable in, and whatever it is. And talking to the camera is not so bad for me, but talking to actual people is part of my job forever was I had to talk to people. And so it's almost like I'm done talking to people now.
Yeah, but those were not nice people.
Yeah.
Can we bring attention to the other VIP that's in the room today?
Who is that?
One Miss Mary.
Oh yeah, she made it.
Mary
made it to the chat. She's supposed to be taking down everybody's names.
Yeah, Mary. Yeah, she's taking down everybody's names, including hers.
Yeah.
Because she's in the chat, baby. Let's go, dude.
Mary, if you win, you get this hat.
All right. So I made a new kind of intro for our new section here. I haven't shown anybody. We're debuting it right now. If it's totally corny, get over it. It's my videography skills aren't the greatest, but introducing.
Okay, Raiders, it's everybody's favorite time. It's time to play Rank It.
Is every week we're gonna definitely.
I thought that was sick.
Did you like that?
That was sick, dude. I've never even seen that. That was sick. And on top of that, I could hear it.
Excellent. Nice. We're ahead of the game. All right, we're gonna rank three things. We're gonna try to drop this in most of our episodes. It could be anything. This week it has to do with reselling. Next week it might be ice cream or your favorite car or whatever it may be. But we're gonna rank things. And here's what I want y'all to rank. And I want you to go in this thinking, if I only got to go to one of these for the rest of my life, I want you to rank The first one is Goodwill stores and bins. If you could only go to one of those for the rest of your life, what would you rank that? It's going to be the top 3. Second is going to be garage sales, and third is flea markets. How would you rank those if that's the only place that you got to go again? What would you rank those 1 through 3? Goodwill stores and bins.
I got mine.
Garage sales, flea markets.
All right, I got mine.
Do it.
Ready?
Ready.
I'm saying Goodwill 1. Then I'm going flea markets. Then garage sales.
That's the order that you. So you
That's
could
the
live.
order I would go.
If you could only go to Goodwill's, you would just go to Goodwill's and drop the other 2 if you never had to go to those.
There's so many of them, and they're always rotating their stock. It's just that's where I would go.
All right.
Are you along the same lines? No, I didn't
not.
think so.
No. Flea markets.
Because the social butterfly here.
Yeah.
Flea markets 100% of the time, every time, without a question, literally without a doubt. Like always.
Okay.
Flea markets are the greatest
Yeah,
of
but
all
how
time.
many flea markets do you have in your area?
This might change by geography.
Within a 20 to 25 minute drive of just my house, I have three fairly large flea markets. One is like amazing that I go to like without fail every weekend. The other 2 I may or may not go to. They're okay. You know, like you get some stuff wherever. They're not the greatest of all time, but the one that I go to every weekend, I know everybody there. Everybody knows me. It's awesome. And it is massive. And every week there's obviously some new or some things that people still have, but for the most part, the entire flea market is a brand new flea market every single week. And then if you were to say how many flea markets are in drivable distance from me that I also go to at least on a monthly basis, I don't know, almost a dozen maybe. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, and you're talking, you go to Goodwill, which no shame on Goodwill.
Why is the flea market game so much stronger in Florida?
Because of our weather. Our weather. It never like it gets hot as shit and it rains, which are the hottest shit doesn't really matter too much as far as like people being out there to sell their stuff. The rain basically in the summertime, because we get the 1 o'clock rainstorm, like the 1 to 3 or noon to 3 rainstorm basically every day. That's kind of what puts like the damper on our summertime flea markets. But I mean, you're gonna get there at 7 in the morning anyway. You know what I mean? So like between 7 and noon, I can go to 3 flea markets. Full like I can do multiple laps around 3 flea markets. You know what I mean?
12 months a year. 12 months a year.
Well, oh yeah. And it's like, and even so when it's not summer and when it's fall and spring and winter, I mean, they're open, they're out there till 5 or 6 in the afternoon anyway. And especially if it's not going to rain, like you have literally the entire day. I can start in Jacksonville and end up in Miami and have hit 10 flea markets the entire day. You know what I mean? So the only thing I will say is the bad side about my ranking versus Rob's is that he can go to flea markets or he can go to Goodwill Monday to Sunday. With us, flea markets are basically, there's a big one on Monday that's about 2 hours away from me, but they're basically Saturday and Sunday, for the most part. There's one open on a Wednesday, but they're weekend.
Yeah, I'll show you something real quick.
What is yours, Steven?
I'm probably the same as Rob. I probably would be Goodwill and the bins. I prefer the bins over Goodwill just because I get so much more satisfaction out of getting something for 50 cents and selling it for $50 than I do paying up $6 to $10 and selling it for, even if it is 50. I just find more thrill in it, and I feel like I don't know, I just like it better. But I will hit the racks too. It doesn't bother me. Garage sales, the biggest sales that I've ever had have come from garage sales, like the biggest finds, but I just cannot drive around for all day long and
looking for garage sales.
Yeah, the hit to miss is just so low. at garage sales. I mean, they're fun when you hit one and somebody wants to sell you their entire collection of whatever for $50 and you've got thousands of dollars worth of stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's awesome. But I'm probably definitely Goodwill. Our flea markets are terrible, so I would be Goodwill, garage sales, flea markets.
Yeah, Brandon said my close number 4 is knocking on random people's doors.
The blue dots are just the Goodwills surrounding my office.
That's a lot.
That is a ton, really.
Yeah. They're all within 45 minutes of me. And that's just on the Virginia side.
Wow.
That's just on the Virginia side. If you go to the Maryland side, it looks like this.
Holy
smokes. That's a lot of
and
Goodwills.
These down here, I don't know if I can show you. What? Why can't you see my finger?
Yeah,
because it's
these
for
down
podcast
here,
land. Rob's showing
that's
like
the Eastern Shore part.
20 Goodwills in the Baltimore area.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is insane. I mean, that's like that's the good part is that the opportunity for Goodwill is
those are just the Goodwills.
Yeah, I just love the person. I love the personality
39 in Maryland
of
that I have.
Just all around you. Hello?
Did you say 39? All right, maybe we lost Rob.
39.
Okay.
I flaked out again, didn't I?
Okay. There.
Yeah, you froze.
Am I back? I'm back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, guy was having a mini season.
Yeah. I did say 39.
39 Goodwills. Okay. So do we want to do Q&A first? Do we want to answer the questions first? Or do we want to do the bolos first?
You make up the rules.
I got 2. We can knock out the bolos.
Yeah.
I got 2 right now.
Then you know what time it is.
Hell yeah, I can't wait to do it.
Track your favorite cash finds. Raiders keep you informed.
All right, what do you got, Rob?
Can't be ignored.
All right, so Mike, we were talking. Am I here?
Yep.
You guys are frozen now.
No, you're good. Rob's gonna have to step up his internet game. He's gonna have to.
Yeah,
Tell me
dude.
when I'm back.
You're back, dude. You need Starlink.
All right, maybe you're going
Nobody
first.
can hear him. All right, I'm going first. Hopefully he can hear me.
I told you I live close to NSA.
Okay.
So, all right, so Mike, along the lines of the Joseph A. Bank, see this?
Yes.
Tuxedo? Lost Rob again.
Oh, okay. Here, listen. Whenever he comes back, you're just gonna have to tell him that he lost his spot. This is from last weekend. This was on a Saturday, I believe, and it was 1 p.m. at a flea market. I did post it on my Instagram. It actually sold for $115, not $150, but it sold day of. It's a Harley Davidson police siren. It's a part or whatever. So I got this for $5. If anybody wants to look them up, it's the model number is 7600853. It's a motorcycle siren, but I got it for $5. You're back. I got it for $5, and like I said, it literally sold. I posted it or whatever. Somebody sent me an offer for $115, so I just took it because I paid $5 for it. So it's
So is it a siren or like a horn?
Yeah, it's like I'm guessing it's a siren because that's what it says on the part. But I know nothing about it. I know nothing about it other than when I looked it up quickly before I bought it. It was
other than he made $110 on it.
Yeah, and then this is the other one. This is actually a find from Amanda, which I thought was really cool.
Papa flips.
It is a vintage Volvo, like a Henley style long sleeve. And what's actually cool about this is that the size sucks. Normally you find size small, they don't they don't tend to sell for, the best money. Usually the larger the size up to a certain point, the better. But it ended up, I don't want to show their name, but it ended up selling actually for $50, dude, plus shipping. So, and when I texted Amanda and I said, dude, that's a really good sale. I was like, we were stoked about it. She goes, I just made up that price. She was like, there were no comps or whatever. So she just put $75 up there and was just like, this works. And then this is the last one because this is maybe one of the more interesting. Yeah, this was maybe one of the more interesting ones that I found last weekend at the flea as well. This is the Patek. You guys might know this brand from it's a super high-end watchmaker, I believe, right? And so this is a cologne that they make. And a matter of fact, they don't even have to be all the way full. You can sell empty bottles and half full, so on and so forth. But I got this one for like $2 or something like that, and it sold super, super fast.
Patek?
Well. Yeah.
La Petite?
Yeah. I believe if I'm not wrong, I believe it's the watchmaker that they make I think they literally make like $1 million watch or something like that. So that one sold super fast as well, and for decent money too. For $45, I only got it for a couple dollars. So.
All right. So along the lines of what we were talking about today, Mike, with the Joseph A. Bank and all that stuff, how hard is it with the women's stuff? That was insane, right?
I don't even go to that crap.
Check this blazer out.
So what is it?
It's an Athleta ladies blazer, and it's steady in the 40s to 60 range. Nice chunk of change.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, the one thing I was amazed about, I mean, obviously with my daughter-in-law being Japanese and my family living in Japan, I know a little bit about rice cookers. Okay. Little did I know there's a Zojirushi, find a name, and they literally sell, look at this. Hold on. Don't, you laugh.
Zojirushi. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
So basically, for everybody that can't see the stream, Rob is showing it. Rob, can you spell that out for anybody that's just listening?
Zojirushi, and it's the induction rice cooker specifically.
And they were selling consistently for like the $350 plus ship range, right?
Yeah, they are the ones that are from Japan, so that's what's driving that price up. And they are the induction rice cooker. So
yeah,
there's a difference between the
regular bolo
and the induction ones, but that is a really, because how many times are you walking through like Goodwill and stuff and you see rice cookers off in the corner?
Yeah,
I'm gonna be checking every one of them from now on.
Yeah,
for the Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he said. Hey, Rob said. Well, I have a daughter-in-law that's Japanese. My family lives in Japan, so some would say I know a thing or two about rice cookers. That's literally so funny, dude. You're the funniest guy in the world. Oh hell yeah, those are good ones though.
Yeah. All right, so I found the earbud that sells instantly. So it's instant. I sold 6 of them in 24 hours. I happen to have 6 of them, and I'm here. It is. It's called the Jaybird Vista, and I've sold them on Poshmark, sold them on Mercari, sold them on eBay. The Jaybird Vistas, maybe I could get more for them. These two sold together. I took $40 offer on both of them, so $80 for these 2 earbuds. But the Jaybird Vista 2 went for almost $80 just by itself. And so you're looking on here, there's this little, it almost looks like a little flower. Most of them are this black and yellow case. But I can't believe they sold so quickly. It didn't matter where they were. I was getting offers on them as soon as I dropped them. So excellent earbud right there. The fastest selling one. I mean, you can list a Bose for $100 and it's not, and you still might have to wait a few days. These, you list them and they sell immediately. Because pretty crazy. I don't know. I'm gonna figure out why. I don't know why. Maybe I'm underpricing them a little bit, but they're new. They were like $100 to $120 new. So I don't know why they are. I don't know why they're so hot. But it's just one of those things you run across, and everybody probably knows about it now, and it'll suck from here on out. But I shared it with you guys.
Whoops!
All right.
I didn't mean to put that one up.
Heck yeah, dude. Steven putting food on y'all's tables, dude. And mine.
There you go. Jaybird Vista. Pick it up.
I already screenshotted it.
So the next one, I actually sourced this one from our man Fired Up Finds in one of his hat shows. So make sure you hit the whatnot. That vintage Capital City Bombers.
Yeah.
I think it sold for 20 or 25. Sold it full price, $60. It was awesome. It was by Apparel One. Great vintage hat brand right there.
Dead stock too, right?
Yeah, it was dead stock. Had the tags on it. It was a defunct minor league team. Awesome. It was twill too. It wasn't even like wool. It was a twill.
Yeah.
Had the tag, $60. Awesome. Took about, like I say on hats, you might have it for a minute if you want to try to get higher prices. I think it was about 3 or 4 months, but really great hat right there. Sourced it for Fired Up, made a few dollars on that one.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was awesome. That's a great hat. I remember where I got that one too.
You do remember?
Mm-hmm.
The flea?
Right.
Yep.
The flea.
Yep. One in South Florida.
All right. Let's see what questions we had here. Here's the ones that were kind of written in. Let me see if I can pull up the right thing. Chris asked us a couple of questions this week. Let's do Quirky Quest Treasures first. He said, what do you guys think about those lowball your price when you're already set in stone? I think you've talked about this a few times, Fired Up. But what do you do with all these lowball offers?
It depends. So if I have an item, say that's for $50, somebody sends me a $10 offer, I send them back an offer $49.99.
Yes.
So
I
always heard, and I have no idea if this is true. I don't know if this is even something that you could even like legitimately find out. But I always heard that just straight up declining an offer was bad for your algorithm. I think everything is bad or good. You know, people say everything in the world is bad or good for your algorithm. Right. So I don't know if that's completely true, but I've just taken that as being true. So instead of just declining the offer and just writing like you suck balls or something like that in the decline box, I just shoot them back a $49.99 offer. So
I do the same.
I'm also I don't mean to cut you off. I'm also a huge proponent though on the flip side of that coin of having offers on, but not having that minimum, it'll decline below a minimum price. I don't like that option. I like getting a $10 offer. You know what I mean? Anyway, like instead of nothing, because there's at least a little bit of engagement on the item. And on the flip side, there's also things that I've had in my store for a year, you know what I mean? That like I basically just kind of forgot about. And so somebody will shoot me, say it's a $40 or $50 item, somebody will shoot me a $20 offer. And I'm like, sure, dude. I'm like, I've had that thing, for 15, 16 months. And there's only 5 views on it the last, 3 months anyway, or a month anyway. So, I would generally discourage somebody from putting that minimum offer on all of your items because of situations like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And people get so, I don't know, butthurt whenever you decline offers, and they're like, well, why do you even have best offers on? I have best offers on for many reasons. One, maybe you were going to make a bundle deal and I'm able to take a better offer or something. And so I need to have that best offer on there to be able to give somebody a deal for a bundle. Or maybe I have, like I said, maybe I have multiple items on that listing, and they want to buy 8 of them for a much better price. And I'm with you. I usually, I try to coax them if they're really annoying and sending like a penny or $1 or something over and over again, and you try to coax them into messaging you, like when you send it back, hey, I can't do that, but if you'll message me, I'll tell you a good price. So when they message you, then you can block them. It's a lot easier to do it that way rather than copy to try to find their name in the email and then copy and paste that into the block bidders. If they message you, it's just so much easier to block them. So there's your blocking tip out there.
That is a great piece of advice right there. I never would have thought about that.
I have put that in my hip pocket.
Yeah. That's
don't
perfect.
say I never touch anything.
That's a supreme blocker right there, dude.
Oh, shit.
that guy's awesome.
I got the blocking shortcuts. All right,
That's
next question. This one came from Chris. He said, when listing a hat, do you place the word vintage at the beginning or somewhere else? I have found that listing a hat vintage, it's better to list it later in the description.
2 seconds. 2 seconds, because this is just super funny. So I have to. Brandon Little in the chat, he texted me yesterday or the day before, and somebody sent him a lowball offer on like a really nice pair of camo pants. I won't read the whole thing because it's long, but the guy basically like sends them like a small, like a lowball offer, and is like, hey, this is like, I'm offering you top dollar, so on and so forth. So Brandon writes back in part, he says a lot of stuff, but in part at the very end, he says, if you had just sent me the offer without the monologue about it being top dollar and more than fair, I probably would have accepted it. These pants will be cut into shorts and used for swimming in my pool before they ever get shipped to Oregon.
So true too. I mean, we don't need the paragraph of why you think you need to downplay. There are so many times I would have probably just taken an offer if a mid offer, but if you add this little diatribe about why you're justifying what you're doing, your chances of getting blocked just went up tenfold.
Yeah.
And unless I'm just having the worst day on eBay and I really need your $15 to make the day, I agree. I'm totally with him on that one.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. So what was our next thing?
Where to put vintage in the title. This is probably one I swim upstream and I do the opposite, just because eBay will tell you to put vintage at the end or near the end, not to lead off your title. I've talked to several eBay like store helper people, and they always say to lead off with the brand and then his or hers, and I still put vintage at the beginning. I think shoppers type in vintage Mets hat. Vintage.
They do.
If they want it vintage, they're going to type it in that way. And I think you're going to be better off if you're trying to sell that vintage hat, and you're going to have more of the vintage buyer looking for your stuff. Now, if you just have if you have a really good vintage hat, I can see doing it that way. If you have like this basic hat that it really doesn't matter if it's vintage or not, if it's just a Mets hat, then maybe just put Mets hat and then put vintage at the end. But I think if you're really trying to curate a great price and try to catch those customers that are looking for vintage hats, I think they put in vintage first. And I think I haven't had a problem with catching people that want vintage that way. What eBay will tell you is don't do that. Always put vintage at the end.
Hey, Steven.
Yeah.
You turned the bolo off.
Is it that loud?
Dude, that's how you know I'm not lying, because I
couldn't hear it
in my ears. It's steady in my ears.
That's so funny. Rob, do you put vintage?
I put it in
the beginning. Yeah,
yep.
That's what I do as well. I never think about it
as vintage
as
whatever. Yeah, I'm selling a vintage whatever. If I was just selling a whatever, I wouldn't put vintage.
Yeah, because I always think about it like this. Like, I would never go up to Steven and say, dude, that's a really cool Oklahoma Sooners vintage hat. I would say, dude, that's a sick ass vintage Oklahoma Sooners hat. You know what I mean? Like,
Nobody
and
talks
that's how
that
I,
way.
yeah, that's how I think about it when I type in, like when I go look for Jags hats, I always type in vintage Jacksonville Jaguars. You know what I mean? Not because that's how I list them, but that's just because like that's the first thing that's the most important thing is that I want it to be vintage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I
then
agree.
If I'm
then
looking for something vintage, I will start the search with vintage.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. To piggyback off of that question, because do you guys think it matters whether you spell out the word vintage or just do VTG?
I always spell it out.
Yeah, I do
I
my
would
best to
spell
spell it
it too.
out,
You
but
don't wanna-
sometimes you run out of characters. So every so often, I just have to put VTG.
Can't you lessen a different word?
Yeah, I could, but I like my other words.
All right, Coach. Do you see any other? Let me know if there's any other questions in the
There
chat.
There was a big question in here. Brandon, not your Brandon, the other Brandon, wanted to know at your guys' level, what do you feel good as average sale price on a Whatnot hat show?
Oh, that was a great question.
That is a really good question.
When I have
think
really
it
good
depends
shows,
on the hat show.
Yeah,
It depends on what you're selling.
I have had shows in between $5 a hat, and I've had them to $12 to $15 a hat. It depends on how good the inventory is. I wish if I could do shows and I could keep an average sale price of $12 a hat, I probably would never sell another hat on eBay, and I would just roll with that on Whatnot. But it's just tough to keep that average sale price.
Brandon, if you're still here, can you give us an example of the types of hats you're thinking about selling, or that you're talking about selling?
I'd like to think about average sale price. I don't like to think about average sale price, if that makes sense. I like to think about what did you get it for? You know, because Steven's a little bit different than I am, because he I believe he has a set price that he gets every single one of his hats for, because they come in such big lots that like his $5 Adidas bullshit hat is the same cost of goods as his like $100 or $250 sports specialties LA Lakers hat. You know what I mean? So he might be able to think about it from an average sale price like that, because his cost of good price is always a set number. But with me, my cost of goods is not always a set number. It's rarely ever the same number, as a matter of fact, because either I'm finding I'm out and about and those numbers will change only by a dollar or two, or I'm going to go and buy them from somebody else. And, I might have to pay $40 for a really good hat or something like that. So I always, I guess I measure the success of it based off of how much higher I sold it for than, it sounds dumb. The higher end hats, I judge how good it goes by how close can I get it to that eBay comp. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how I look at. I'm not going to judge a hat like that has a $20 all day eBay comp, because I know I'm not going to get $17 for it or $15 for it. You know what I mean? Very rarely are you. But when you have the $200 hat and you get to like the 140, 150 mark, that's where that's kind of the average sold price is so tough, because it's, you have so many different cost of goods metrics that.
See, I do it totally different. I do it absolutely different. I don't look at per hat. I have a goal for the amount of sales, the amount of hats sold. Like take my golf show, for example. I have a goal that I want to sell like 100 hats. And then I have a goal that I want to reach monetarily. Because the way I see it in a show, and I guess it is the same for all of us, but in a show, you don't really know what the good hat is. You take, for example, a couple weeks ago.
How many times I've been surprised by what the good hat is?
I'm
Hey, I've
rolling
cooked
along.
Steven a couple times. I've got him a couple
Well,
times.
I'm rolling along through a pretty good show. There's a whole discussion going on in the chat about baseball, right? I'm in a golf hat show. I just look over to my right, and there's a Chicago Cubs hat. I've told this story before.
Oh yeah.
Pick it up. Anybody want to buy a Cubs hat? That thing went for like $35.
That was like that 47 brand Flex Fit hat or something like that, wasn't it?
It was just a 47 brand trucker.
Yeah.
It was just a nondescript Chicago Cubs hat. It was a good hat. It was brand new. It just didn't have the tags on it.
Yeah.
But in the middle of a
you
golf
put that
show,
in Steven and I show, dude, that's like a $7 hat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
like a $10.
I didn't expect it to go for more than $7 to $10 myself. But it was like the second highest hat. It was $1 off of the rowback I ran.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the craziest. Yeah, that's it. Well, I don't even know.
Well, I kind of look at
say
it
that.
as a collective. If I sold this 100 hats and I made this much money for it, then that's the return I got.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's just a lot of ways to go about it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of ways to like measure like what you find.
It's all
successful.
depending on how you want to record it. Do you
Yeah.
want to record every single hat that you sell monetarily and then define the ROI on that? Or do you want to just say, look, I ran 100 hats. They were an average of $5 each. Boom, that's in that column. I sold them for this much. Here's my ROI on the day.
Yeah.
I think most people eventually have to get to that point. I know that when you're first starting, you want to break it down to every single item and how much you're making on every single item. But eventually you get to the point where it's just total in and total out. Just kind of, we're talking about taxes. It's just you're trying to increase the margins of your total in.
It's all dependent on whether you want to do an inventory-based system or you want to do a cash-based system.
Right.
For people that don't know what that is, look it up.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think most people are cash, but yeah, there's more than one way.
I would say for most resellers, it's advantageous to be cash based. I mean, for me especially. I mean, I buy so much shit. If I had to inventory all that,
yeah, it would be impossible.
All
right,
ROI.
Last question we'll be able to get to. ROI.
It's ROI, return on investment.
Last question, and then we're going to get to the giveaway. Chris had one more question. I have another question. Let's say you don't have Posh Sidekick. Should your eBay prices be the same as they are on Poshmark? I think we've talked about this before, and just pricing in general. I would price everything to the highest market. Like if I was putting something on eBay and Poshmark, I would probably have the highest market price that it will go for. So if you think it's a $28 Poshmark hat, then I'd price it at 28. But if you think it'll only go for 15 on eBay, I'd probably still price both of them for 28. And that's just the way I would do it. And I will tell you, Poshmark has been getting much better sell prices still on hats. And I am really surprised. It's almost been double. And you don't have to pay for the shipping. I've been really impressed with the Posh on some of the hats that I've been putting up there.
Cool.
All right. Y'all ready to do this giveaway? I don't know if I got.
Did we get everybody in there?
Fish.
Yeah, dude. Do you know who that is?
No.
She's only the coolest mother of all mothers.
Your mother?
That's not my mom.
That is my mom.
Hi, Mrs. Fire.
And also, if she doesn't win, dude, I swear to God, I'm quitting this podcast.
Hey, if he wins. If she wins, she's getting this hat too.
All right, let's get to the wheel. I think I got it all sorted out. Remember, I got to put Darren on here twice. Since he's a member now, he gets 2 names on the wheel.
Dude, Darren being a member is the most legit thing ever.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, this is not a New York Yankees hat. This is a vintage North Florida New York Yankees little bootleg, which of all hats, this one might get the most recognition. I get multiple people comment on this hat
because
every time I
everybody
go
thinks
out.
it's a New York Yankees hat.
I know. That's why I'm like, dude, I mean, you should be able to look at it and be like, yeah, it's not, you know?
All right, guys, appreciate everybody. And our newest member, Darren, everybody that is a member is going to, even if you're not here, if you miss like an episode, Darren, you're going to be in. We're going to get you on the wheel. So that's another benefit of being, and we're going to have cool giveaways. I promise. It's going to be quite the competition. Might end up with.
You don't think this
no
is a cool
telling
giveaway?
what. Yeah,
I'm just saying that we're going to have a 3-way rivalry until one of us is just like, you know what? I'm going to be the king of the giveaway, and we're going to give away something insane. Yeah,
you're going to give away your Tesla.
Oh, I only have one, so I need another one to give away.
All right, let's see if I can share this screen. We can get to the giveaway. Share screen.
Rob's like, I got
wheel of names. All right, can everybody see that?
All right,
here we go.
All right, dude, who's it gonna be?
All right, shuffle it up.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh, my mom! My mom! Oh, Chris! Chris! Hell yeah,
Congrats.
dude!
Congrats!
Hell yeah! Good stuff, Chris.
All right,
Good
Chris. You
stuff,
know how to
Chris.
get a hold of? Do you know how to get a hold of Coach? If you can message him, and he will get you.
Chris, message me right there at that Instagram address.
Yeah,
Yes.
message him on Instagram, and he will get it sent out to you. And then I'll have the giveaway next week, right? So
Yeah,
we'll be
dude,
back.
you better come with a freaking banger, dude.
Yeah,
Congrats, Chris.
I don't know. Reach
I don't
out
know.
to me if you have any ideas what you want me to give away. If y'all really need a hat
You want me to
shaker out
send you
there-
this one to give away?
Dude, I want a lock of hair, dude. I'm joining
that
the
what you
chat. I'm joining the chat next week, dude. And I want
You want
just
Steven's
shave
hair?
off some of your beard. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Look at that guy's freaking dude. Look at that guy's hair. So nice.
All right, guys. Really appreciate you joining us this week. We'll be back next week to talk everything eBay to whatnot. We'll see you guys.
There we are again.
See ya. And Rob's gonna